All ever needs is screws.
All ever needs screws.
Bill, is that about how loud you normally play when you play on stage?
No, I might mash down a little bit more. There's a fellow here, you're the fellow that plays the guitar, son, don't you? Mm-hmm. Here's a new number that I have, and I want to play it for you and see what you think about it. And they don't have a title yet.
Bill, we have a lot of beginning mandolin players here, and
Yes,
some intermediate and some advanced, so maybe you could give us some thoughts on holding the pick and how you're attacking the strings and stuff like
That's the way that
that.
I hold the pick like that right there. Now, I don't grip it, it's in there loose.
Is that pretty stiff one?
Yes, sir, yes.
Really, it looks like it's flopping
I like
around.
to wear a stool for you guys. You touch the heel with the wrist on the mandolin.
Yes, sir, it rests right there the way I do it.
Right on the grid.
But a lot of people, go them down like that, but I was gonna be sure when I started with young that I could tremble, and never bother my arm just from here down.
Bill, in that regard, is it both parts of the palm of the hand, or on the thumb part, or the back? Can you tell where you're touching?
Always goes all the way
All the way across?
Yes, sir.
Right
And I-
behind the bridge.
And I don't grip like this, I hold it like that. So all your fingers got a chance.
Do you put pressure down on the rim of the mandolin, or just in that one place where your hand is touching behind?
I don't mace too hard.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of relax. Let all your arm relax. Then your wrist can work good. Your pick can work good. But if you grip it, you see, it makes it stiff there, and it won't work right. So just relax all the way down through here.
If there's any tension there, you're going to tighten up and
Yeah. If you grip that pick, then it's going to tighten it up. But if you leave it there where it's loose in there, all your arm is relaxed. So I'm coming down to your hand and finger.
Do you change that at all when you're playing hard downstrokes? Do you tighten up when you're playing some passage with?
No, not too much.
How much movement comes out of your thumb when you play?
Not a bit. It's that and the finger works together to hold the man. I think they don't work a bit like that. It stays right there.
it's all on the wrist then, pretty
Yes,
much.
sir. Yes. And I've learned, I use a 3-corner pick, and if it turns around, I can keep bringing it around, and never get away from it. And I've learned how to do that, and keep it under control. Any more questions?
How about blues? Did you listen to a lot of blues players when you were growing up, or did that influence you any at all?
Well, back when I was a kid, I could hear them around, they drove horses and mules, in wagons, and you could hear them whistle, or you could hear them sing, way off from you, and I listened to that, and I learned how to do that, or I liked it. And then I learned, studied how to play that same way. And a list of different people way on back. There wasn't many mandolin players at all. About 4 was all that you could find in the country that was doing anything at all. And he was around Chicago. And first mandolin I had cost $3, I think, and an old tater-bug mandolin. Then my folks bought me one from Montgomery Ward, I believe $8. And when I moved up in Indiana, I found one up there at Gibson for $30, what had the round hole in it. I bought that. Yes, sir. You like excuse
What are
me,
some tunes do you think would be a good place to start on the mandolin?
some tunes would be good to start with?
Yeah.
Well, I started, people probably don't look at it the way I did, but back in the early days of my life was old-time fiddle music, And that was about all there was in the country around Rosine, with people, Uncle Penn, people like that playing for square dances. And I like to play breakdown numbers on the mandolin. And so about my first ones was numbers like Arkansas Traveler and Soldier Joy and the Wagner, number like that. Turkey in the Straw and Patty on the Turnpike. You like Patty on the Turnpike?
Good tune.
Back to when Patty on the Turnpike started, back when I first heard, that's the way they played it. But now people like Vassar Clements is coming in the picture, and he's tried to change it to make a jazz fiddle number out of it, and it don't work. It really hurts it, I think, for the fiddle players, and they're all following him. And it's really, they don't even play Patty on the Turnpike. You know, that if you go on back, like Arthur Smith and Kissinger, you know, from West Virginia, that's the way they played it. And that was way back then. It was back in the 20s like that.
Did everybody play everything the same way if the tune, or was there any room for improvisation?
They might not put the exactly, but they keep the melody the same way. That's where some people changes it today. And I hate to see Arkansas Traveler made into a march or into a blues or in something like that. It needs to stand the way the man wrote it because it's perfect. You couldn't do no better with it.
But when you're playing a fiddle tune like that, which is essentially a series of eighth notes, are you essentially just going down, up, or do you ever wind up going down, between the strings, or up, between them, you know?
Well, I go down a lot, you know. That's my...
Well, in that style, but I mean, when you're just playing straight ahead in a fiddle tune like Patty on the Turnpike.
You mean
like
rhythm?
No, in your lead.
Down and up.
Down and up.
Yeah, just like the bow would go.
Mm-hmm.
What quarter notes are always down? Could I ask you about the left hand for a minute? It seems that I'm relatively young on the instrument, so I haven't got a lot of tunes yet. But it seems that you work out of a chord and are hammering on a lot. And is that pretty much the way a fiddle would do it too?
No, sir. And that ain't very many people would do it that way. But when I first started, I wanted to come through the chord and see if I was right and if I was playing the chords right.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to learn to play it that way, and I've used it all the way, you know. When I go through I might touch a C chord, you know, and of course a fiddle player, they wouldn't do that much. They play their notes straight on through it.
Well, since a lot of the notes are going to be in the chord anyway,
That's
you
right.
just leave it down.
That's right.
And you also have that percussive effect of already having it down too, huh?
And one thing about it, it'll show the guitar man or the banjo player that belongs in C or F or where it goes to, and it helps that too.
Well, what about what I just said? Is there something that you grasped as possibly your style, already having it down? That, like I said, it has a percussive effect.
It works
you know?
in there too, yes.
Yeah, it makes it more like a drum.
That's right.
A drum instrument too. Did you play a little bit of Katie Hill? Is that I learned that out of, is that David Grisman that I got that from?
Yeah.
It's not like what you just played.
That's a good thing.
Don't look the same. Started out the same, but after that.
Bill, want to give us some ideas on backup on your rhythm chops, perhaps?
Yeah.
What you might be doing on some slower tunes or some faster ones?
Starting in bluegrass. No Mandolin player played down here to follow in B flat, you know. But to make the G chord all the way coming down the neck, what helped me with my music, you know, and that's the reason I played it that way.
Bill, when I saw you at Cedar Creek, when you played rhythm, I noticed that you didn't like keep up a steady chop all the way through the song. You really broke it up a lot.
Yeah.
Do you consciously, you think about not keeping that steady?
Well, sometimes the song needs rhythm, you know, and I play the rhythm, and if the band is going to play some runs, and then I might lighten up, you know, if I'm going to sing a chorus with him on that song. And used to be I'd play all the way through, but now sometimes I just shut the mandolin and come off and sing, you know, like in the quartet, like that.
And also, you seem to vary the style of chop. Sometimes it'd be real straight, and sometimes it'd be another little rhythm.
Yeah. Just to fill in, you know, make it a little bit different, something like that.
That's
Yeah. Lots of moonlight waltz.
When you play rhythm in waltz time, do you sometimes play the one beat, the on beat, as well as the two? Do you do different things in what do you
I might
sometimes?
fill in or might play harmony a little bit, you know. Most of it is rhythm. If Kenny's doing the leading. Now, I kept that song 10 years before I ever come out with it. And then when they heard it on the Grand Ole Opry, they ever publishing company was down there on one Saturday night to get that song. And the song, the one that got it paid $8,000 to get the song. And I kept it, and that shows you, you know, when you're young, you can keep things and you don't shove it and don't take care of it right. And if you got a new number, don't ever let it sleep. Let people hear it. So that's the way things go like that.
Don't you play that Melissa's Waltz?
Huh?
Melissa's Waltz for JB?
My father's name was James Buchanan, and they called him JB. My mother's name was Melissa, and so this was a waltz number, Melissa's waltz for JB.
Bill, do you recall on how you played the B part to Road to Columbus word on the record?
Bill, when you take a break out of like B flat or B, do you play mostly out of the closed chord, or do you play start down the neck like a fiddler?
I
would
play,
sometimes?
kind of play both ways. Sometimes I play in straight position. Be hard to play it down there, you know.
Right.
Now, a lot of songs I'll play both ways, up there or down there.
I was
was asking you about that song Cheap Love Affair. Did you play that out the B chord up with the seventh fret?
I think so, yes.
How do you feel about being saddled with the title of the father of bluegrass?
Much like it's on his bus.
I like it all right. I just, when you worked as many years, as hard as I have, you appreciate everything like that. But it's made me feel good, but it's never given me the big hit. To do something like that. I stayed right down with the people, with the fans and the friends, and just been one of them, and that's what it's been. A lot of people in music, if they get money or if they get a big name, they get bigger than people, and I don't believe in that.
Would you play your break to Blue Night?
Well, it'd be hard for me to do that. It's been so long. Richard Green helped record that, and he really fiddled that pretty nice. Blue Night. Yes, I can do. Seems like I hear an old fiddle upstairs.
Bill, I'd like to hear Last Days on Earth, but I have a question about that first. On the record, you had Sound Like Birds and Ocean and stuff. Did you think of that to add that to your song for the record?
Well, I knew when I put the number together that it had a lot of sound that would go on back in time, in the way of a man's life, and when they mentioned it, would I let them do it? I knew that it would fit in, and they would keep it, where it wouldn't override the mandolin or the music part of it. So I let them go ahead and do it, and when they put the voices in and the violins in, I wrote that one night at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was so cold, I couldn't sleep. So I just thought I'd see if I could tune the mandolin different and see what I could come up with. And I come up with that tuning, and I went to trying to play something on it then, you see. It seemed like the first notes I made, where it would fit in on that, where it wouldn't be, I wouldn't play a sharp and a flat. Well, I just led from that on around. There's like different positions in it, and it holds right the same. If you make a mistake in any position, you ain't going to go back there and cover it up because it's there, and you can't go back again because it keeps going on around with about how many different positions it plays in it. I'll play that for you if you want me to. It's all in there. Would you like me to do that, Vice David? These strings have been on here, I don't know how, I'd say over a year. They've been on there ever since that album was made, I think, and they're not in good shape, and they'll play sharp and flat.
How's that tune, Bill?
It's tuned in C minor sharp.
You don't play that guitar very often?
pretty.
Is that the mandolin you said you used while some work was being done on it?
Yes, sir. Well, they give me a mandolin that I use, and I've kept this in the same.
Is that the one you got for a good price or somewhere?
Yes, sir, this one come out of
Poncho.
Detroit. A real old lady up there owned it. She had a mandolin orchestra band, and she, when she willed it to the people that taken care of her, and when she passed away, they had the mantle, and they brought it down to Bean Blossom, my park down there, and wanted to know could they sell it to me. So I bought it from them down there, and I believe I paid $1,300 for it, something like that.
What strings are you using on that, Bill?
Gibson bronze. This needs some new strings on it. This is best too.
Can you talk a little bit about the tremolo and how songs at different speeds, sometimes how would you adjust the tremolo to different speeds for the song?
Well, yeah, you can tremolo pretty fast, you know, but you can get too fast for the tremolo, so you have to go into another. You got to fasten that. You just keep going back forward like you would on a fiddle. What kind of time's that? It's shortish time. Smoky Mountain shortish. And that's something anybody young ought to learn. They ought to learn all kind of times through the music. Square dance time, waltz time, shortish, blues, gospel time, the way they play. That's something any young person should learn. And to learn to keep time, keep rhythm right. And if you can't pat your foot right, you can't hardly keep time right.
When you do tremolos, are you conscious of an even amount of tremolo, up and down strokes within the tremolo? Or does it just come real naturally and you haven't really thought about it?
We were waltzing that night in Kentucky. That's where you would sing, you know. You'd wind up there. Beneath the beautiful harvest moon. Like that.
You sing a lot of the songs in your head when you're playing them, and that helps.
I watch it, yeah. Watch it close.
forced to improvise very much when you're playing, say, with another player outside of your band? Any tunes that you don't know that you might use some of your licks on and just play through it?
I can play his numbers and use my licks, you know. Got in trouble.
Do you ever isolate licks and practice them over any particular chord? Move them around.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Could you show us some of your favorite licks that we can use like that?
But that's a frog on the lily pad. Here's a good. Here's a good. Good one from Alan.
You like those C tunes, don't you?
Yes, sir. I like them. I like A too.
What do we do with something like that where he's playing with a band, you know, and they can't hit that C, so they're doing it in B flat or something? Would you try to get that, or
they won't hardly play that with the mandolin. I mean, with the fiddle, they won't play my same notes, or the banjo, either one. I guess it's maybe too hard to do it. But a mandolin player can do that. And this is the first workshop I've ever showed that to. I kept all that down through the years, just different things I would keep, you know, to use them on numbers.
Could you play Boston Boy a little bit? How do you remember it?
Let's see, what key was that played in?
I believe C. I heard it played C on the fiddle.
write that one, and then I would write another one close to it called a number 2, and I never did do it.
Could you play something?
I don't believe it. Just try to play it. Remember how the sound got coming in it?
Yeah, that's the second.
Yeah.
Water there.
Now the way that sound come in, one time this part of the mountain, come off that white part, and I didn't have time to get it fixed, and so I was playing at one time, and I pulled this string down below this fret, so it made it come in just exactly, where you played that number in G. And people wonder how that tone ever come in there, with both of these, one E tune is standard, and the other one was, up where we play in the harmony. But it hung behind this fret here. And I could play that number, start it off and watch it, and I wouldn't do that till I got ready to do it. And I learned how to do it, just pull it down below that, and it would hang right on.
You do Get Up John in a different tuning, and
Yes, sir.
Last Days on Earth. Any other tunes that you've done with a different kind of tuning?
I did not play Bluegrass Special or something like that with a different tune or something like that. I believe I did. I can't remember. Here's the number that I wrote up at Tombstone Junction in Kentucky, and I titled it after that title. And I played it for some folks down, I guess, other night, but somehow I don't guess all of y'all heard it. Tombstone Junction. It's where they have a park way up in Kentucky. It's like an old western town down in the valley there. Got a train that circles around. They have shootouts there in the streets, like they do in Kentucky.
Bill, do you have ever have really low points where you find it hard to stay motivated to keep playing?
How's that? I didn't hear what you said first.
Do you have low points in your playing where you feel like you just don't want to play, or if you feel like you can't make any progress?
Well, I've always tried hard, when I start, and there's very few places, that won't accept you, they won't stay right in there with you. A lot of them won't give you a hand, but they listen to it, I guess, good too, So it pays you to try hard, and I've always believed in doing that. I can be feeling bad and go out on the stage and go to work, and I go feeling better. My nerves can be shot, and it has been that way for the last about 20 months. And I can go out on the stage and go to work, and then it just ease and everything relax, and it just makes it wonderful.
So you still get a big kick out of doing it
Yes,
after
I
all
do. Yes,
these
sir.
years?
Yes, sir. I like to keep that rhythm up there. Help with that.
What are you looking for in the guitar player and the bass player as far as rhythm is concerned?
Well, I like for the guitar player to play some runs, the old time way of playing runs and there. I like the bass to keep the time solid, change from one chord to another.
You look perfectly relaxed Friday night, Bill.
Didn't think you were ever gonna quit. Hoped you wouldn't.
Well, what was your reaction when you first heard Elvis's recording of Blue Moon Kentucky?
I knew that he changed and made another style, you know. And so he come on up to the Grand Ole Opry and come around to where I was at and shook hands, made himself acquainted, and apologized for, you know, changing Blue Moon the way that he did. And I told him, I said, well, I said, you've done a good job with it. I said, if it'll help you and help you get your new style, and that's what they told him to do. The record company told him to come up with a new style. And I told him if that would help him do that, why, I was for him 100%. So, Blue Moon of Kentucky and an old blues number he had on the back side of his.
That's all right.
That's all right, Mom. That was the two numbers he come out with. So, I guess that helped him get his start, that kind of a style, and that's what they wanted to do.
Then they wanted him to change from that real quick.
Yes,
too.
sir. Yeah.
Weren't you at an audition that he did, and he didn't know you were there, and he did that song, and you told him it was okay, and you were glad he did it, or something? I heard a story like that.
First time I ever met him, he'd come to the Grand Ole Opry. And I was in the dressing room, he'd come over there and talk to me over there.
So when you do your shows, do you always tune right to standard pitch?
Try to stay right standing.
How do you go about finding that?
I can hit it, if I don't hear any more music, I hit it myself, hit a day just with my voice. And I don't have to have a tune pipe. But if I hear some of the music and it'll start before I do that, I always listen to the tune pipe. Pitch.
What do you think of these tuners that they use in these days?
They might be all right. I never had one. I never used one.
Got by that along with that one.
Yes, sir. How do you like Come Hither to Go Yonder?
Great.
I'd like to ask you, Bill, about, like I told you before, I'm new at this kind of music, and the kind of music I come from is basically blues is 12 bars, so it always, when it comes around, you're back in after
Yes, sir.
12 bars. When bluegrass, I notice when somebody takes a break, it doesn't come back in where you predicted it would.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit more, and then they come in. And this is typical in a lot of the tunes.
Yes.
I wonder if that's what you can tell me about that being tradition passed down, and why they do that, or would it be to get a guy ready for the next break?
I think so. And a lot of they put blues in a lot of tunes, you know, that they didn't have no blues in them until bluegrass started.
Mhm.
And they work it like that, and the fiddle works it that way a lot.
Bill, why do you have your bridge set at such an angle?
How's that now?
How come your bridge is set at such an angle, looking perpendicular to the string, top to bottom?
Start out with when they fixed this now, the last time, fixing the fingerboard and everything. seemed like they had to really work to get this to even work, you know, for it to come in and note true, you know. They had to do a lot of that work. This is wore bad right down in here.
Have you ever experimented with any other kinds of bridges other than that standard one?
No, sir.
Where do you recommend a mandolin player use a microphone? Some mandolin players mic one of the F-holes, and you usually mic it over the fingerboard, I think. Is that right? Is that to try and get a more balanced sound over the
Yes,
top?
sir. Can I play that for you, Butch?
Which one's that?
This one here.
What do you call that one?
Beautiful Julia LaBella. You like it?
I like
Good.
What about Blue and Lonesome?
That'd be good on guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Could you do that? Just take it real easy and let it soften and right through that.
Could you give some advice about taking breaks to songs rather as opposed to fiddle tunes? That's what I'm trying to get into. For instance, in the key of B, maybe in a close position, what are some of your favorite phrases that you use?
What do you play? What instrument you play?
Piano, playing right now. And I'm interested in the close positions up further on the neck,
Yeah.
and what kind of passages you like to play on the
What kind of a number would it be? What?
Oh, to any of the. Just medium. Just a singing song that.
If you like blues or something, don't play
I play kind of that.
It seems like some of the main notes that you stop on are double stops and
Yeah.
and kind of you'd let them drag out for a while as opposed to some of the single strings.
Yeah.
Someone told me once that, like in the song White House Blues, you played out of the chord up in B
Yeah.
flat there, and you used a lot of the open strings to get a jazz sound and to put in those other notes that aren't in major scale. Could you play a little bit of that?
This one. Yeah, that's the way I played the noodle line, played the banjo on it when we recorded.
Bill, your music, maybe over the last years, years and years, you've gone through some transition, but you seem to be really strong in that Celtic or British Isles type music, and you haven't. And I've never heard you do any Russian, Greek, Spanish, any kind of variations, anything like that. Is that because you're using your strong suit, or is it because you have a real bias towards it?
Well, when you got this, when music started going like this, you know pretty well where it's at and where you want to keep it and everything. But going on back in the feelings and the way you think about music and your heart and everything, what makes you feel good and touches you, you have to bring in some of their music, maybe the way they would play it, touch some notes or things. People says that I play, a lot of my music goes way on back in some of the foreign countries over there, like Africa and places like that, and the way they would play string music and Scotland. But some of the numbers that I write, I'd say would go back at least 100 years, and from that maybe 200 or 300 years, the way I think they would have loved it back then days. And then you search for the notes and everything to go back like that, that it would touch people. It's got that tone, that would go on back. Now this is Golden West, but it's still got some of that old time tone from. I know how my father and mother would have loved to have heard it, and I know 100 years back before their time, they would have loved it. It would have really touched them, and they wanted to hear every string the way it should be, and if it was supposed to be open, that's the way they wanted to hear it, tied in with another D or something like that. I think that would be good if you all had your mandolins out and play a few numbers with me. Would you mind? Did everybody get their mandolins?
Dan, I'm going to give you your pick back tonight, all right?
I don't understand that comment.
I walked up with your pick.
I'll take the first break, then you can have the next one.
Oh, no.
You want the next one?